Recording in progress. Oh, are we doing all from the beginning?
In the Pop Culture Cupid podcast, we talk about how pop culture influences our expectations in relationships. I'm Alison, love coach, here to help you single people find your way back to love.
Healthy communication. I'm Michelle. I help singles embrace themselves and their singleness, as well as develop a healthy self-relationship. We bring some juicy stories from our own love lives and dating, and it gets pretty interesting. Be focused, we're gonna be to the point, and no digressing.
Self-awareness. Follow, share, subscribe, enjoy.
And like and comment.
If it's shockingly bad, we just re-record another one.
Yeah. No, I think there's some good stuff that you can just nitpick. Recording in progress.
Hello again. Let me just get the timer out because we're being good with topics. There we go.
I'm actually surprised at how good we're doing with, keeping to time and not digressing. She says as she digresses.
The Christmas episode was touch and go.
Yeah, but there's just so much you can expect from a person.
Yes. We're still human.
Yeah, last time I checked. We have a fun topic today.
We have a fun topic today, which is sex.
S-E-X. So make sure your kids are out of earshot.
Yes. Mine is.
Well, I don't think he can comprehend anything at the moment, so.
Not sure that he can understand the words. I think it's kind of like when you're in the water, you kind of just hear noise rather than words. Yeah. So we're good. I mean, it's such a vast topic.
There's so much to unpack, and especially like when you're looking at it as like, I think we've spoken a bit about this before, and it's very different to people who are in relationships, to people who are married, to people who are married with kids, and then also people who are single. So there's a lot of like variations of relationships with sex. So
we'll see where this episode takes us. I've got a deadline today, so I can't really go over, but we'll see how it goes and maybe just do more of the episode, more of the topic, or wait and see when this. So guys, listen to this episode. So this will be coming out, I think we said February.
Yeah.
And then just say if you're missing anything, and we can just come back and record like more episodes, and then just.
You can even send us private messages if you don't want people to see your questions in the comments, but like ask us questions about. Because I think here's the thing about sex is I feel like I don't want to generalize, and I don't want to say, because I don't think it's true for every place in the world, but I feel like it's been a consensus that it's a taboo topic.
Yes.
And people don't talk about it openly, which I think is fine. I don't think we should talk about our sex lives in public to everyone. I think it's a very private thing. But the problem begins when you're struggling to share your sexual needs, desires, pleasures, whatever it is, with your partner or the person that you're with. It's become so ingrained in us that it's like this taboo topic that no one should talk about, and it's like this whole thing, especially in specific religions and cultures and whatever. So then it comes to a point where you struggle to say what you want and what is good for you, what isn't good for you. And maybe you just don't enjoy it as much as you can. Or maybe it just becomes this whole big thing that you create in your mind, and so you stay away from it, or you just ignore it,
Yeah, I agree. I think that talking about sex with anybody in public and things like that is like, it's a topic in itself, in the sense that it is taboo, and it shouldn't be as taboo as it is. But I agree, like, you're not going to talk about your sex life on the public format well, some people do, but it's just, think about it. You're not going to talk about your money earning. You're not going to talk about your health or your parents' health or to anybody at any time. And I think sex is in
Yeah.
the same thing as that. It's just, you know, appropriate discussions at appropriate times without making it taboo and just like feel the mood. Like
Hmm.
you're not gonna go at a funeral and talk about your sporting techniques, and you're not gonna go to the gym and talk about
Yeah.
finance, and you're not gonna, these things. And it's the same with sex. Like you just, there's time and a place for talking about it. Obviously, the most important person to talk to about sex is the person you're having sex with,
Yeah.
but that definitely should not be the only person you talk about sex with. And I think different ages are, different people. I think when you're a teenager, you want to be talking to your parents about sex. Like you want to, and I think I don't know if we have any teenagers listening, but we've probably got parents of preteens listening.
Yeah.
I think it's so important to kind of create a safe space for your kids to talk about sex because they're gonna have it. It's gonna happen. And you want them to have it safely and intelligently and protect themselves. And you want to teach your daughters about birth control and following their cycle, and you want to teach your sons about, protecting themselves and things like that. And
Hmm.
because otherwise they're just gonna mess up, which is normal because if you talk about the gym or things like that. If you go to the gym and start lifting weights without knowing what you're doing, you're going to hurt yourself.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. And I think the conversation that you create around it with your parents in the early stages is sort of the baseline of it. So it maps everything
yeah,
else out. Like when I was a teenager, my parents didn't really talk to me about it. It was kind of this awkward thing. So sex became this like very awkward thing for me early on. And what I learned was from conversations with friends, and that really helped me. And I think it's why it's so important to have friends that you can talk to
yeah,
about it, you know. And obviously, I would we're, talk, we're talking about it now, and I think it's an important discussion. But we're not going to go into like the gruesome details of like the what exactly we do in bed and what exactly we like and whatever it is with our partners. But we are going to talk about it as a whole
mm,
because it's important to have this conversation around it and understand that it's important for us to get comfortable with the topic. And when you're comfortable with the topic, you're more comfortable in your own skin and between the sheets. And I think in public, yes, there should be this like privacy about it. When
decorum,
you're with your sorry?
the decorum of just,
Yeah. Yeah. But when you're with your parents or even with like you should have that friend that you can go into details with and you can help each other understand like is what I'm going through normal? Is it not normal? Is there something that I need to know? How do I how do I talk to someone about this and all that? So when you have a friend that you're talking to about it openly, it sort of really helps you discover
I think
yourself in that world.
I completely agree. And I think, you know, the reason we're not going to talk about our own sex lives is just not because there's shame around it. It's just because what we like may not be what you guys like, and it's just, we might do an episode of like just like, these this works and this doesn't work, and don't forget about this
Yeah.
zone and things. We might do that, but this isn't this episode. This episode is kind of just like to get there, you need to have a conversation first. And
Yeah.
with JT and I, we have many completely open conversations about what's going on in bed and things like that. Sometimes we don't really debrief. I had a partner once where we would debrief a lot. It was actually kind of nice, of just we did it sometimes, but with JT it was just, well, what works, what doesn't work. But
Hmm.
it's just like, this is what I like. and go here and like, and having that conversation might actually lead to having sex.
Yeah.
And but you, this is what I like, and go here and things like that. And please, ladies especially, like, don't expect your partner to know what to do, because it is more complicated for women to take pleasure from sex than it is from men. And it's not their job to give you pleasure. It's your job to give yourself pleasure and then kind of just make it work with your partner. And I think lesbians will probably get that more easily, because they, kind of have a better understanding of this. But I think for straight women, it's just so many of my friends, my girlfriends are like, but he should know that. It's like, well, if nobody's ever told him,
How is he supposed to know? He
how is
doesn't
he
have a woman's
supposed to know?
body. He doesn't
Exactly.
know,
And
you
like
know?
some women, I have a lot of female friends, like they say, oh, but I love that, or doing that, or receiving that, or I hate that, love that, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
And they are convinced that it's the same for every single woman.
No.
And I tell them, like, I hate that. What you just said that you love, I hate it with a passion. And and sometimes vice versa. Like, what you say you don't really like, I kind of really enjoy. And and the re and it's the fact that we have these conversations that kind of allows us and them and things like that to just take a step back and understand, like, I don't know, if a concrete example is like blowjobs or cunnilingus or things like that. Some women hate it, others love it.
Yeah.
And I think also to love it, you have to be in a trusting relationship and things like that. I would some things I would do, I've never done with a one night stand, but I would gladly do with my, stable
Hmm.
partner and things like that. And that is all through conversation. And some things, it's the same for men. Like, you think that all men like enjoy the same thing, but they really don't. And if nobody actually ever says, I don't really enjoy that, but can we do this instead? Then you just end up kind of waiting for the moment to pass, which is a shame.
Yeah. It is a shame because it can be so amazing and it can be terrible. And I think each person, you said it very well, like each person is very different. And every person you're going to be with is is going to have different desires and different things that pleasure them. So maybe something that another partner you were with loved, this partner is not, and vice versa. And same goes for you. Maybe one thing that you've tried with another person wasn't good for
Mm.
you, but with this person, it will be. And it doesn't really matter what it is. And I think it's also tells of what we love and what is good for like the specific things in our sexual life because it's irrelevant. Can you not
I
hear
think
me?
that the microphone's
Oh,
changed.
what happened? Hold on. Yeah, it did change. Why did that happen?
Okay.
Can you hear me better now?
Yes.
Okay, sorry. Something changed my okay, whatever. What was the
What you like with one person, you don't really like with another, and
yeah, so wait, let me get back. So I think should I do that whole thing again?
no, no, no,
It's
as we
fine. So
are.
I think the reason why we're not going into too much detail of like what we enjoy specifically and what we are, you know, what we like and don't like is because it's irrelevant. I think
Yeah.
it's not the most important part in the conversation. The most important part is the communication, like you said. Like Zev and I also, we talk about it so much together all the time. I mean, to the point where it sort of does become like the foreplay, just
Yeah.
like talking what you like and what you don't like, and just and just in general talking about sexual things and saying sexual things to each other, and 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 then you discover together what works for you, and it may have not worked in a different relationship, but that's fine, to each their own. But when you have this open conversation about it, then everything feels much more natural and you're more able to just let go and enjoy it, because the last thing you want is to be stuck in your own head while you're having sex and you're trying to, and you're like, oh my God, why am I not enjoying this? Or like, oh my God, this is so bad. I just counting the minutes for him to finish and
Mm,
that's it. And that's not what sex is about. And if that's the sex you're having, then you have to have a conversation about it. And if the other person is not willing to, then they're probably not the right person.
yeah,
And they will have no way of knowing if you don't say it, you know?
yeah,
We love you dearly, guys, but you can be quite oblivious and saying to the men in you know, men can they don't know. They think they may know sometimes what how women
but
think, but they don't.
I don't know about you, but for me and for other women I know, because I've spoken to this about friends, my body changes for, during this my cycle.
Mm-hmm.
My
Yeah.
uterus is going to be placed differently, and like the certain organs are going to be slightly different. Not a lot, but enough sensations to be different. And so, especially with JT, because the more, the more I grow, the better I am at communicating these things. He said, but you enjoyed this last week. And I was like, yeah, but my body's changed. And it's just, but it's fine. I'm going to guide you into a different, way of doing it,
Yeah.
and rhythm or pace or angle or whatever position. And it's just, it sounds complicated, but it really isn't. It's as simple as this doesn't feel good. Let's change.
Yeah. Yeah. And not taking it personally and not
Yeah.
getting insulted and not making the other person feel bad, because like, you know, sometimes like when I have like, you know, it happens like there's certain times a month where it just like it just doesn't feel good and just
Yeah.
I just want to stop. And you know, if if Zev would have made me feel bad about it or made me feel like there's something wrong with me because I can't, you know, because I don't want it like I did last time, then you know, it would have been a red flag and it would have been something problematic, because you know, you want a partner who's gonna, you know, be completely fine with it. It's okay. Not, you know, and when you have open communication about it, then, you know, again, the person gets you and you get yourself better.
Yeah. Yeah, completely. The thing you said about made me feel bad about it, like really flashback to my first boyfriend, who
Yeah.
would make me feel bad about not wanting to do anything with him. And I keep thinking sometimes, thinking about sexual trauma and things, and just reflecting about how sometimes things are quickly exaggerated and other times they're really quickly diminished and things like that. And
Mhm.
that was really horrible. That was really like any time I would say no, he'd make me feel so bad about it. Um, and it's terrible. And I think to everyone listening, I said to the guys, to anyone, don't make anyone feel bad ever about not wanting sex.
Yeah.
I think this is, beating a dead horse with a stick, because people say it so much, but it is so important. But also keeping in mind, like, if you're a girl and in your 20s, the conversation isn't going to be as easy as if you're in your 30s, only because open-mindedness is evolving. Like JT and I, we were talking about, there's this part of us like we would have loved to have met 7, 10, 12 years ago and have been together for all that time. But then when we have this romantic, what would we have done and blah blah blah. But actually, when we talk about it deep, it's like we would have, if we met 10 years ago,
It
we
wouldn't
would
have
have
worked.
never, never in a
Yeah.
million years. We were like I was so different, he was so different. It was just we would not have been attracted to each other. And all this to say that, the way that we talk about sex today, he and I, especially, so the last few episodes I've been talking a lot about my pregnancy, but I think it's slightly more fitting than other episodes. But right now, I'm just not feeling the same way that I'm feeling without being pregnant, and it's more complicated.
Yeah.
And especially like now I have a bigger bump, and it's more
Mhm.
complicated. So we're talking even more about it, and it's just but it's an open conversation, and we talk about, I feel frustrated sometimes because my libido is a bit down, And the times where I do feel like I want to have sex, like, is when he's asleep and things like that. And so it's tough. And we talk about his frustration, my frustration, and not in the sense that we're making each other feel bad about it, in the sense that, we still need the other to know that there's the frustration there. And he was saying that he would have never had this type of conversation with his ex 5 years ago,
Yeah.
and less so 10 years ago with other women. Um,
Yeah.
so I think it's just, and it's practice makes perfect, because I've been doing this of talking to men about my sex drive for a while, and I've only gotten better at it. And this,
Hmm.
we were talking about this in the Christmas episode of just things are going to start getting better only when you start doing something that feels uncomfortable. Like, it's not just going to happen overnight. You're going to be an expert at communicating about sex. Like, you need to start talking about it. It feels
Yeah.
weird, and just go for it. And, yeah, and try different things. And just, it's so important to just say, even for the men, because we're two women and we're talking about women a lot. And the cliche is that women, it's more complicated, which I think is overall true. But there are so many men that have trouble expressing, I don't like this, or I would like this, or,
Hmm.
you know, can you just slightly go faster, slower, have a different rhythm or things like that. And if I don't, I'd be curious to know how many men, I think men express it more easily than women do.
Yeah. From my experience at least. But I think it probably depends on, on the person. But I think men have just, women's body is more of a mystery than
Yeah.
men's. And for men, it's just pretty straightforward a lot of the time. So for them, it's sort of just probably easier in that sense. So, like, also talking about it and asking for what they want is just simpler, you know?
Yeah.
And for women, it's a bit more, it can change, especially from women to women, from woman to woman. And when you talk about it and when you have constant conversation, it becomes, yes, it's awkward at first and it's weird, but the more you do it, the more comfortable you get with it. And I think it also applies with having open communication and other aspects of your relationship. Because when you're having open conversation about other difficult things, or even the easy breezy things in your life, then it sort of creates this system or this habit in your life of talking about things. And then so it spreads out into the sexual themes of your relationship. And so it's not complete strange territory because you're used to being open in your communication in other areas in your relationship.
Yeah.
And so I think, it's your responsibility to open up and to
Yeah.
say what is bothering you and what you want to change, and not to expect the other person to just understand or to just, throw out clues and to hope they get it. It just won't work that way. And I think it's also another reason why it's so important, like, to talk about these things with your friends, is because a lot of times it helps you put things into perspective, and it
Mm.
helps you understand whether or not what you're going through is is normal. Because a lot of people may think, okay, it's normal for me not to enjoy sex because women are not supposed to enjoy sex. That's what they thought for many years. And so when you're having a conversation with a friend who is enjoying sex, then you're suddenly, wait, then maybe I should be enjoying it as well. And
Yeah.
that sort of helps you start changing your own internal conversation about it.
But I think similarly to what we were saying last episode about imposter syndrome, yeah, when you are having sex, be in the moment,
Hmm. Yeah.
and just, and because some things, you know, if you're not in the moment, then you don't know if what you're doing is going to lead to absolute pleasure or if it's not. And, because some things, it might take some time and you want to be into it a bit more. And I have no problem with faking it, not in the sense that I fake a lot. I think it's me personally, sometimes I fake it to kind of trick my mind into, oh,
Mm,
actually, I'm doing this, and then it kind of starts rolling. Do you see what I mean? Do you
yeah.
see what I mean? Not faking it in the sense that okay, I'm done, let's stop, but just kind of like, maybe I need a bit of a push because I feel that
Yeah.
I'm not, I'm thinking about the laundry or about work and things like that, and I just need a bit of a,
Yeah.
oh, this way. But I mean, also, I think we don't give men enough credit in the sense that if we tell the men in our lives what we want, I think they'll just happy to oblige. I think if
Oh, for
there are
sure.
some men that will take it badly,
Yeah.
and you just want to steer clear from them. Like if they take personally something like that and they're just offended by you expressing your needs, whether it's sex or anything else, you just want to steer clear from that. But I think any man that's worth anything, if you tell him um or even guide him into a certain positional rhythm or whatever, I think he's going to find that extremely hot.
Exactly.
And I think whether or not I was trying to debate like while you were talking, like should they say it during sex or after sex? And I think it kind of depends on how you feel about it. Because I think if you're guiding it during sex, it'll bring heat to it. And if you're saying it outside of sex, it might immediately lead to sex. Like the guy might just like, okay, let's go try that out right now.
Yeah. I think it's something
Um,
that needs to come up at both points at some
yeah,
time or rather. So,
it's definitely kind of figure out what feels most comfortable for you, and then do it. Even though like both might feel really uncomfortable, but one is a bit easier than the other. I think personally, I would. I can't really remember how I started off with these conversations, but I think I started expressing the needs during sex,
yeah.
and then realizing that it was greeted like received really well. Then I was able to
Yeah.
kind of make it like a conversation topic.
Yeah. I would say that it's probably even easier during sex because you're sort of on this high. It's a bit like when you're tipsy
Yeah,
or drunk and you're sort of less
yeah,
thinking about it. So it's like much easier to just blurt it out, like things that,
yeah,
you know,
yeah. I would agree. I would
yeah.
agree.
So, yeah, I think with the right person, though, then with the right person, you feel more comfortable. And with the right person, they also want you, they want to give you more and they get off from
Yeah,
your pleasure. Like,
yeah,
there's, and if they don't, then maybe you're not the right person for them. And they're definitely not the right person for you. And you want to find that person that,
yeah,
A, you can have these conversations with in bed or out of bed and in general and B, that you can feel comfortable expressing yourself with, and C, they want to pleasure you. They it makes them feel good when you feel good because of something they did, you know?
yeah, yeah. It's
So
a team effort.
it is a team effort. And it's
And
fun when you do it
yeah,
right. It can be so much fun and it can be
yeah,
just like it adds, I think also having a good sex life adds so much to your relationship in general. And it bonds you in a unique way. And something about sex, which is so intimate, is just, it connects you and it helps you. I think it's when our chemistry with a person is most alive and you're just coming together and you're with each other, just the two of you at your most vulnerable and most intimate. And it's just like this experience of like, it's like sort of the equivalent of going on a date with each other
mm,
where you're spending quality time together. It's the same kind of thing, just in a different aspect. So,
yeah. I'm afraid we've gone over time, which
ah,
is
oh my God. Oh my God.
fine. But I think we might want to set more recording time for like other sex topics and just make a list
Yeah.
and just like this is what we're going to be doing, and we'll be looking to doing that next week. And yeah, and let us know what your guys are needing, and we shall try to
Yeah.
give you what you need.
Yeah. And if you feel up for it and if you feel comfortable, let us know like what
Yeah.
you feel towards like conversations and communications about sex and in your relationship, of course.
Bye, everyone.
Anyone, bye.